By the end of today's episode, you'll know what you need to know about moving to the USA to start an acting career. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today I've got Veronika Vozniak here, and she'll be sharing her experience of how she was able to move to the USA, get an agent, and build up her career. Some of the things that we'll be discussing include the different types of visa cards, which ones make the most sense for actors coming to the US, some specific strategies to make getting a US-based agent easier, and some other critical things to be aware of if you're considering moving to the US for acting work. Well, thanks for being here, Veronika. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Veronika. I am from Poland, and I moved to New York City around 10 years ago. I originally moved here to study at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. I finished a two-year conservatory program over there in 2016. And currently I am an actress, translator, host, still a martial artist. I'm a black belt in karate. This is something I do on the side.
Awesome. I'm a black belt too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't done it in a while, but I was a second degree black belt. That's awesome.
Oh, fantastic. You were further than I am. Oh my God. Congratulations. If I can tell just a bit more. Generally, I have been slowly transitioning now from theater work to film work. I got my green card in 2022. So always wanted to do film, and I'm trying to transition as an immigrant. When you get a green card, it's kind of like getting a second life. So I feel like I'm living my second better life in New York right now.
Nice. Awesome. Well, for a lot of actors, the process of securing a visa and being able to get paid acting work here in the United States is very daunting. I have a lot of actors on my email list from other countries, and that is one of the top questions that I get from them. So what are some of your recommendations around that?
Okay, let's open the Pandora box. I think the first thing you have to ask yourself if you want to come to US to work is like, do you want to work here or do you want to stay here? And make your plan from there, because it can mean two different things. Let's start with all the visa types. Okay, so there's a few different ways you can come to US. Obvious one, you can come in here on a tourist visa if you are from a country where you do not need special visa, meaning you can just pay on at the customs to get in. You can come to this country in many different ways and easy ways. You can also come on F1 and O1 and green card, which I will be elaborating on in a second. But the good thing is that, even if you come on tourist visa, you can always change your status. It's a little bit, how do I say it, tiring, because you are here without a work permit and you wait for your work permit, but it's a way. So you can get visa waiting in your country, you can get visa waiting in the US, which would be probably tourist visa or any other visa if you have non-working visa, something like that. All right, now to the types. So for me, and I will share here my experience, I came here on F1 visa. It's a student visa, and I think personally this is the best way to start your journey in the US. I know a lot of people want to immediately get down to the business, especially like if you're coming here, let's say in your 30s, and this process is going to take at least a couple of years, and you're like, I want to work now. So, but patience. Being in school is great for two reasons, if not three reasons, actually. You buy yourself time to get through a culture shock and break your language barrier. If you choose a conservatory program, you get a 1 year of so-called OPT, which stands for optional practical training. And you can work anywhere in your related field, which in this case would be acting. Of course, it's like your school is sponsoring you for the next year. and you get a year to work without thinking about, I have to get this visa, blah, blah, blah. No, this school takes care of you, but just for 12 months. And the third good reason to start with school is that you have time to build your network with people who can help you actually get your visa, agents, directors, playwrights, agents, production companies, other actors, etc. So that's one way. So let's say you are here studying, you're getting your OPT, and you can then apply for O1. You can apply for O1 at any time. It's just, if you don't have experience, it's fantastic to have OPT. I didn't have any experience before coming here. So once I graduated, I was like, oh my God, I have 12 months and I have to make this work. But it's better than nothing, it's better than nothing. And you already mentioned in your previous episode about the requirements. Martin, you're going through all these things. So I am not gonna maybe list them, but I want to go a little bit in depth.
Feel free. At the end of this episode, I'll mention the specific episode if people want to dive deeper on any of that stuff. But feel free to elaborate because some people may just hear this episode.
Okay, great. So O1 visa, O1B visa, visa for scientists, artists of extraordinary ability. Generally, to start off, very intimidating name. O1 visa consists of 3 parts, you could say that. Your past work, your future work, and your network. So when it comes to your past work, this is of course your resume, your credits. You need to at least be in some way impressive on paper or be part of big awarded perhaps productions, no matter where in the world. But it does help to have the US credits. So like I'm saying it again, OPT is great to add US credits to whatever credits you might already have. And let me see. That's one pregnant pause. Okay, great. Okay. So now when you gather your productions, whether in the US or somewhere else, gather sounds very easy, but it's not easy. What you need on O1 is to decorate it. I call it just decorate it as much as you can. Boast about it everywhere. Post about it on Facebook, Instagram, your website. Ask your mom and cousin to share it. Ask a local newspaper, maybe from the town you moved from. Or if you're in New York City, find community. Like I found Polish community, so a lot of my press, which is required for O1, is from smaller magazines. But the thing sometimes with the visa is quantity. In some cases, is better than quality. You just got to show that, hey, I am out there. And if agent who reviews your case thinks it's enough, it's enough. It's no guarantee, but you have to have some online, some public presence. Like that's super, super important. Now, there is also one website I want to recommend to actors who are looking for press in the US. You might be familiar with it. It's Broadway World. So if your production is legit, they will post about your upcoming play. Do everything you can. So when you apply for your O1 visa, you have at least few pages about each project you've been part of. And like I said, because quality sometimes is less important than quantity in this case. We're just trying to be working actors, to show that we work, like we're hustling. And we are, I hate to say this word, worthy of staying here. Next thing you need in your O1 visa is at least 10 recommendations from industry professionals. Ideally, these professionals should be from US, some recognizable names, and it's not always easy to get. But what I would recommend for recommendations is if you are part of some production here and you feel like, but this is not a lead role, like this is not gonna work. I would say go for production companies or a place where you performed and maybe then artistic director of a bigger institution can write you a recommendation. Think about the biggest authority, the bigger authority this person have, the better recommendation that is. Unless they are, celebrity, that's fantastic. Like, yes, put all the recommendations from celebrities in your visa. And okay, this is the last thing, almost okay, second to last thing. For your O1 visa, you need a sponsor, AKA your primary employer. And in a perfect world, this would be your agency, or one day you wake up and your agent tells you, hey, you gotta lead a Netflix show and you're leaving to LA tomorrow, pack your bags. Let's all manifest that for a moment. Yes, we all want this. So in my case, it was a production company based in LA who worked in a New York Fringe Festival in 2014. Shout out to MB Stage Productions, my first employers in the US. Thank you, I love you. And and it didn't matter that they were based in LA. The show ran for a few more months in New York, and then I moved on to the other gigs. So whoever your sponsor is, as long as they are legit, like a production company, like I said, ideally agent, it doesn't matter if you like, I want to work in New York City, but my sponsor is not based in New York City. That's totally fine as well. But unfortunately, I want to make everybody prepared that the sponsors may be for some people a little bit icky subject because people are scared. I don't want to say, I wanted to say that people who are American citizens are scared to sign their name under any paper for it to go to USCIS. So be prepared for maybe some ghosting or rejection. That's just part of the business. Don't take it personally, like I'm also scared of immigration. So we are all kind of scared of immigration. So have some understanding for people if they're like, no, sorry, I can't help you. And just don't take it personally. Last part, I hope I'm not going for too long, is the deal memos. So that's your future work. Proposals of work. Now, don't worry if you don't get paid as much as you write on the paper when you submit. Don't worry if the work is not going to happen. That's why you provide multiple memos so that you can show immigration that if one project fails through, the other one will work. And yeah, that being said, it has to make sense. If you're an actor who has never been paid for their work and you put in your deal memo an unknown production stating that you will be making a few K a day, then it will definitely raise red flags. Be reasonable, include real projects, and estimate the amount of money you're going to earn to your best abilities. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about O1. I want to mention here this famous case. I forgot the name of the actress, but she was the lead actress, one of the Netflix shows, and she's Australian. It was like so popular with the tapes. Remember the show?
I don't.
God, it was huge, and anyway, that was during pandemic, and this Australian actress got her O1 visa in 2 weeks. She got a lead in Netflix show. The production was in the US, but because she already had credits, it was so easy for her. You just, hey, I got a lead in Netflix. My sponsor is Netflix. Let's go. That's the ideal perfect world. That is not true 99% of the time.
Let me just ask a quick follow-up question
Yeah.
because you talked about the student visas. What are there specific requirements for that? Like if somebody is like, do you have to be a certain age range? Do you have to be in specific school, or what's like the requirements for the student visa if you know what those are?
Requirements for student visa is basically getting into school, and it if it of course has to be acting school. So then after you get OPT, the optional practical training for acting work, not like business or psychology or anything else. I applied for school online. I was still in Poland at that time. And it was pretty straightforward, you know. I think because my school was a conservatory program, it was relatively easier to get in there because they have a bigger pool of students. But when it comes to like BFA and MFA programs, which also give you OPT, then you just go through regular college application. And then your school will help you to get the papers before you start your first day at school.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that was some really, really in-depth information. So I appreciate that you shared all of that and kind of told us how the experience can work for an actor who has actually been through it. And I think that's going to be super duper helpful for people. Now, I want to shift gears to agents because that's another big question that I get from actors is when it comes to getting a legit, or in other words, non-scam, decent, hardworking agent who's going to be doing a good job for you, how do you recommend non-US citizen actors go about doing that?
Oh God, there's so many layers to it. Let me start with just that as immigrants, we usually come here with, I mean, I'm taking it from my experience, we come here with heavier accents and we are being stereotyped pretty fast. We would not be put out for typical American roles. We always need to have, like for me, I have this one agent who only sends me for Eastern European roles, you know, and like he will not send me for anything else because whatever. I'm not gonna complain here right now. But you know, it's a long way to get an agent for sure. I got my first agent through a showcase, my graduation showcase, and I was actually thinking back, I was very lucky because it was a legit agent. She's still around. We just couldn't work together because I couldn't work on O1 on film and TV, and that's the biggest issue for me when I was having that visa. I was like, that is so not fair. Like I can only do half acting work. What about the other half? You know, like what is going on? That's because your visa is limited to a sponsor. If it was an agent, we would be having a different conversation. It's really hard to get agent as a sponsor. But okay, generally, if you are not at least on O1, I am sorry to say this, but nobody will even want to talk to you. And like, it's already difficult for people who are citizens. Imagine how difficult it is when you don't have a citizenship. Citizens also, you know, get ghosted. We are just one actor in a very, very big pool. So I got turned down a lot because of my visa status. And there is actually work that you can do as a non-citizen, but you have to have at least O1 visa. You need to have a permit to work in your related field. So legit agent, like I said, will not sign with you because you might get a work permit one day. And the departments you can work on though are voiceover, theater, non-union films, so all like the indie films, and I want to say TV, but if it's like non-union TV, what can it be? Webisodes, something like that, you know? And then people will sign with you. So tackle voiceover agencies, tackle commercial agencies, because here in commercial our stereotyped look actually might be helpful. Like, for example, here in New York, there are a lot of voiceover and like, what is it? Like announcements, PSAs, where they need these commercials. Probably you saw one of them. Like there is a commercial, like an ad on YouTube about COVID vaccine, let's say, and they make that COVID vaccine thing in 12 languages, you know? In New York, it's so common, and I was auditioning for many of these where they're looking like for a Polish family, real Polish person. That being said, you know, if you are from a country that is less of a niche than mine, you're very lucky because there is not a lot of Polish stuff. But if you like say speak Spanish, oh my God, you're already a few steps ahead in in this artistic world because you just have a bigger marketability for US market. And there is no way that anybody can tell you, hey, I am not working with a green card. Once you get a green card, you got it. You can work as anyone else and you're fine. You can get a theatrical agent as well. And I wanted to say, because we're talking about legit agents, the end goal, I guess, is getting that film TV representation. So what I am doing right now, I am booking some work for voiceover with a bigger agency. And what I'm doing right now is asking these agents for referral for their theatrical department. And it's good to have this voiceover or commercial agent, even if you think like, God, I can't work, and it's so much. If you're here for long enough, you're gonna get super frustrated until you get your green card. But these connections will take you a long, long way afterwards. So definitely go for commercial and voiceover agents and build your reel, build your reel, make that money, you know?
I love that. Such really detailed and helpful advice for people. I think that it can feel pretty daunting for actors to figure out how to get an agent, and sometimes they can feel like, oh, well, if there's not that much work for people with whether it's my accent or my background or whatever, they can kind of feel discouraged. But I usually like to say in situations like that, oftentimes if there's not a ton of opportunities, let's say for somebody from a specific region, it's it's actually can be looked at as somewhat of a benefit too, because it probably means that a lot of other actors are thinking the same way and they're not actually going for it, meaning that your competition is going to be lower. So if you are
Yes.
one of the people who follows through and really, you know, keeps at it, I do feel like you actually have a higher shot, because the markets that are oversaturated, there's lots of opportunities. Everybody's going into that and it can be difficult. So.
Yeah, and I think also there is, if you really fit the role, especially if they're looking for specific ethnicity or nationality, it's like you get into the last round of audition really fast because they just don't have a lot of people, which is great.
Nice. Now, you talked a little bit about referrals just before, but my question sort of related to that, as someone who came here from not the United States, knowing nobody basically, how were you able to build a network in the US? And did you start working on your networking before or after coming here?
Oh, definitely after. I mean, I think when I came here, I didn't even think of network. I didn't know what network means, probably. And I'm going to repeat myself here. That's where school comes in really, really handy because that will be your first immediate community in New York. And they're actors, they're acting teachers, they're your perhaps future mentors. They're all around you from day one. And it's a huge advantage, not only career-wise, but also for your mental health. Because once you move here, you're gonna go through a lot of cultural adjustments. And at the beginning, for me, I was only expanding my network with each project I made. I wasn't purposefully looking out to meet people because honestly, I was still learning how to act at that time. And I didn't feel confident speaking English. I was so lost. And only recently, really, I started building my network because like with a purpose, like I said, because when I got my green card, I was like, okay, I am staying here. I think I gotta start doing this. And like I said, for me, it wasn't as much building network, but the community. And for all my visa years, and I think that's most people's case, I was primarily focused on theater. So I think that generally theater environment fosters community. And I encourage everyone just to find your community first. Because at the end of the day, you want to build something sustainable, like a group of support. And I was lucky also to go to school with people who are still working actors in the US and elsewhere at the moment. And you know, some of us really made it work. It makes me really happy. And if I didn't talk to these people at school, I think I would be nowhere. And of course, it's not all of it. But that's a place to start. And I think it's just a great place to start. Another advice I have, and this is also something I'm focusing on right now, if money allows, go to as many film festivals as possible. Like I recently emceed New York Polish Film Festival where I met some awesome directors. Now we have Tribeca Film Festival going on. I'm going to see the super talented young female filmmaker whom I also met in a different film festival, actually in Poland, in Camera Image. So you just kind of have to be there and show up. And celebrate art, celebrate life. Like you're going to a film festival to talk to people who love doing the same thing as you do. And don't think about it as work. Come there with open heart and be genuinely interested in other people's art. I think that's very important when you go to networking events.
Nice. Well, it sounds to me like there's sort of good news on both sides when it comes to networking. One is if you do enjoy networking and you can technically start even before you come to the United States and kind of get a head start on it. If you don't like it, you don't really have to do it in order to
Yeah.
be able to come here and start a career. You were able to do it without even thinking about it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just so much adjustment, you know. I had to take it one day at a time. Like I don't think I would be able to do it any other way. And also before coming here, I was looking for an apartment and I couldn't find one for months. So that was on my mind, more immediate need.
Definitely. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the actors who are listening who, again, might be dealing with these visa and immigration challenges right now?
So I guess if you are here already and you're struggling and you feel like you're going crazy, it's gonna sound silly, but it's just find a hobby, okay? It's so important to go out, go bowling, take a pole dancing class, boxing class, like be part of the society here. We are all human and like don't let this visa thing get in your way and don't let it make you think less of yourself because it's very easy, very, very easy. I had a difficult case where I was waiting a year and a half for my papers because turned out my first lawyer was a fraud and I thought I'm gonna die,
Wow.
but I didn't. And I got my green card, okay? Like, you got this. And so, kind of following up on this, you can't and you won't make it on your own. Ask everyone for help. You will be surprised by who will offer you support. Really widen your net. If you need support, don't be afraid to ask for it. And be patient. And I'm going to refer a little bit to the previous podcast because that was something I didn't think about really coming here. Be honest about your financial situation too, you know? Like when you move to New York City, you don't have to live in Union Square or Herald Square right in middle of Manhattan. Be smart, work smart, not hard. If you are not in the city center of New York or if you're not in, you know, in LA, like this is also a good place to start. Perhaps, you know, consider all the different ways and just be patient with yourself, be patient with people. Yeah, I think that's it.
No, that's definitely good advice. I mean, the finance thing especially, it's kind of I always look at finances from the perspective of you have a choice. You can either be very conservative with how you spend and have very little stress, Or you can spend a lot more and feel good at the moment, but you live among so much stress. And I'm the type
Yeah.
of person who prefers to live as below my means, as comfortable while not being stressed, because I just feel like people can make better decisions. And when it comes to
Yes.
acting, you can perform better. All of that, having the lower amount of stress is really, really
Oh my
important.
God. And we need it. Like we're artists. We need to relax. We can't do our work if we're stressed. And this is already enough stress. Yeah.
Nice. I really appreciate your time. How can actors who are listening get in touch with you if they have any questions or they want to learn more about your work?
Well, I think Instagram is the best way to ask me questions or see what I do. That's Vivozniak. So it's like Vivi Vozniak. Yeah, DM me. I'm open to help, give any advice, meet with anyone. But I am not a lawyer. I should mention this. In all of this process, I did have a very good lawyer, and he saved me. Like, that's also talking about stress. Like, if you have a good lawyer, he can take a lot of stress off your shoulders, or she. So definitely recommend that process with lawyer. Just the last thing I want to say.
Yeah, we should add the disclaimer, of course, that neither of us are lawyers. This information is for your use, but don't take it as legal advice. But thank you so much for being here today. This is amazing.
Thank you. I know it's a lot of information, but it's just that this process is a lot. It's just what it is.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive deeper on getting a visa and transitioning your acting career to the USA, I highly recommend checking out the podcast that we've been referencing a few times during this episode. It is called How to Get Acting Work in the USA for Non-Residents, and it's episode 29. I promise that you'll learn a ton and you'll have a even deeper understanding of how the visa process works. Though I have to say, Veronika gave us some really, really good and super helpful information that was not even covered in that episode. So if you are interested in checking it out, again, it's episode number 29, How to Get Acting Work in the USA for Non-Residents, and it's on the Actors Career Compass. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.